Hey, what it do is Trav, and this Walks with Trav, I wanted to talk about Kyle Rittenhouse and Young Dolph. Now, both situations where there's loss of life, unfortunate. Why I'm putting the two together? Because all these different actions of around the country and throughout time coincide with why things happen the way they happen. So number one, we have Black Lives Matter, which as a general premise, not the actual movement itself, but the idea that it does. There's no denying that black people are targeted more than any other people in this country. That has been the history of our country. The history of our country in the United States have been that black people were brought here not to be human, but to be cattle and workers. That has always been the history, and that's a fact. Now, before so much of the street influence, we were still being targeted. We were still being redlined. We were still being lynched when we didn't have this problem in our community, when we had Black Wall Streets, when we had different areas in the early 1900s where blacks were thriving and doing their thing. But when we did our thing, racist white America came and took our areas out. And that's documented and that's facts. It's been documented, in fact, that a big part of the drug problem of why it infiltrated the black community is because the CIA dropped off the ingredients and the supplies for crack cocaine so it can fund the Nicaraguan Contras. That is a fact. We know these things. So when we hear people say, well, black people just need to get it together. Well, now white people, y'all got to help out too, because y'all had a big part in why this shit happened. So then with that said, though, with this whole Young Dolph situation and all that, go before Young Dolph, the street influence and the drug influence hit our communities hard. Why? Because we didn't have resources and the same opportunities in the internet yet. So people saw the drugs and said, oh, I could work with this white product instead of this white man and make money quicker and not have to deal with the politics. I'm gonna do that. No one foresaw at that time, no one foresaw at that time the dangers and all the things that were gonna come from the drugs. It wasn't known yet, all the side effects and all the things that were going to happen to destroy us. Now we know, because now we've had a history of this in our community and seen the side effects. But when it first started out, it didn't start out with the idea of, oh, this is going to be hurtful to our community. But then the greed came in, the easiness, the high life from that. The drug dealers getting the fame and the women being local stars in a way that they couldn't, because back then there might have not been the opportunity to do so. So that street influence took over. And that's where we went wrong as black people. Now we get to today. We have a lot more than we used to. The internet is a great equalizer. But what's happened is that the street thing became cool in music. It became cool in pop culture. And it became something regular in our community. And now we've clung to that victim story, even though we don't have to be victims anymore. Now it's changed to where we don't have to have it, but we do it because we're used to it. And it's easy just to blame the white people because they do have blame. But it's easy just to do that instead of say, well, what about what we did too? We made mistakes too. So with that said, that whole street mentality, you get to Young Dolph. Yes, I didn't listen to his music like that. I hear a lot of people say, well, no, he was just trying to inspire. He was kind of like Nipsey. But here's the thing. Anytime you try to moniker yourself as street or the king of a city, you know what comes with that. There's been beef. There's been funk. He's been shot at before and survived. And that helped his career. It's sad that what helps our careers as black folk is killing somebody or survived being killed. Being tried to be killed. Not positive things, street things. So with that said, nobody's trying to kill LL Cool J. Nobody's trying to kill Chance the Rapper. There's a way you carry yourself to avoid this energy. So yeah, it was BS that he got killed at the cookie shop. But you can't tell me that Young Dolph didn't put out a certain energy to bring that to him. Even Nipsey Hussle, I love bruh, but once you want to start claiming the streets and say you're Crippin' and you represent a flag, you're still a part of that street in the sword. You live by the sword, you die by the sword, unfortunately. And both of them wanted to stay loyal to the soil and loyal to the streets in a way. What happened? The streets didn't love him back and they took him out, both of them. So now, going to this Kyle Rittenhouse stuff, right? Now, I actually think that by law they made the right call, because if you watch the videos, he was going over here doing community service and trying to help out the businesses on fire and all that. He started to get chased and attacked. He had a weapon on him and he shot to defend himself. I would have done the same thing. And I initially at first was like, shit, we got another white dude getting away with some shit black people can't do. But he still did. Why do I say that? Because we're not given that benefit of the doubt. You had a young child in Tamir Rice who had a toy gun and got shot on sight and was called by somebody that said, oh, he's out here in the park with a gun, but he's just playing. And there wasn't a crowd. There wasn't rioting. There wasn't anything going on. There wasn't pre-Black Lives Matter and George Floyd and the other guy killed and this happening from that. And he got killed on sight. 15 years old. Young kid. I think he was 15, but young teenager. Kyle Rittenhouse had AR on him. Went right up to the police. They didn't do nothing to him. This is speculation, but I don't believe that if Kyle Rittenhouse was La Kyle Rittenhouse or La Kyle Ritter and he walked up to the police with that gun, he would have been treated the exact same way. I do not believe that. Maybe even if he got taken in, they would have roughed him up a little bit. It wouldn't have been so calm. And we've already seen that Stanford rapist that I think he killed the women, but he definitely raped that woman. And when they found him, they took him to Burger King. They didn't rough him up. But again, an innocent, Tamir Rice gets shot for having a toy gun. Toy guns playing with toy guns has been a part of America since forever. Shoot, look at, Christmas Story, where you got the Red Ryder, you'll shoot your eye out. That's an American story, playing with toy guns. So the kid, the black, Tamir Rice is playing the American dream and got shot for it. So that's why it's still racist what's going on, even though I agree with the decision. And yeah, I was preemptive too when I heard about this. But I reviewed the info and I was like, you know what? He's not wrong in the decisions he made. He don't seem like he's a bad kid. Maybe there's other things I don't know. But that process wouldn't be the same for us. And that's why it pisses me off. And I can't feel totally sorry for this person. Because that's just the way it is. He got due process. We don't get that. But black people, we don't help ourselves killing each other so fucking much. And what was bullshit too is with these whole riots that we're doing, we always riot when something happens, but we don't create our own businesses. We don't say, fuck the system, we're gonna create our own system. We don't go, oh, the NFL's racist, so we're gonna create our own league. We don't do our own Black Wall Streets. That's the best way to fight this shit. We don't wanna be in the judicial system. We don't wanna be judges and lawyers and all that. We wanna be street, because that's cool, because that's what the women like. But that also puts that image on us. If we had more Nipsey Hussles and Young Dolphs not going to the street side and putting that intellect into just pure legal stuff and not representing the streets, they wouldn't be dead, and we'd have more black men out of the system and dominating in other parts of life. Because that same intellect they use to dominate in entertainment would transfer into other disciplines. And that's why I take a calling to it, because as a black man in my position, running the way I do with integrity and doing coding, doing all that, it can be a very road of solitude. I won't even say lonely, but you don't find many people like you doing this. You have to accept, I've accepted in my life, I'm going to be token in many ways of my life for the rest of my life. But I'm okay with that, because I wouldn't change it. But it creates isolation. And then we get on certain black men for, oh, why do they act white and all that? Because they're doing all these different things that are positive, but they're not around a lot of people like us in that process. So that's why they act like that, because most of their peers and counterparts are not them. You are a product of your environment. But I was lucky enough to have the mindset to know how to be around my people and still be token at the same time. So this is a deeper issue of just these isolated incidents. It shows how this is all interconnected. Black people, we all we got, man. We all we got.